Code 3 Americans, hope everyone is doing awesome. Got another book review for you here, something that'll really help you move the needle and change some paradigms and some perceptions we've had over time, and maybe even weed through some of what society kind of feeds us. So we're going to get into the book review here, and that book is called The Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki also wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. We did a video on that. Highly recommend you read that book. But the Cash Flow Quadrant is just an outstanding book, and what it does, it really illustrates how money is made and taxed in our system. And Tom Wheelwright, the Rich Dad advisor on tax and the author of Tax Free Wealth, will tell you that this is true in pretty well most developed countries. But in the upper left quadrant, you'll learn about employees and how they pay about 40% tax. Now, we're talking kind of averages if you have a high paying job, and you may have some state and local taxes in that too. So every place is a little bit different. But by and large, employees making a good income pay about 40% tax. And then below that, we got specialists or self-employed folks, doctors, lawyers, dentists, contractors, um, specialists, self-employed folks. And then on the top right, we got big business folks, about 20% tax rate, because we're talking corporate taxes there. And then on the bottom right quadrant, you can get all the way down to 0% tax when you're acting as a professional investor. So this book will really illustrate how you need to behave. Because if you get around Tom Wheelwright, he'll write behave up here, but he'll separate be in the have portion of behave a little bit. And he'll say you can be over on the left and have what's on the right. It's all about how you shape your affairs. Because he says if you want to change your tax, you have to change your facts. So the nice thing is, as long as you behave like somebody in a big business quadrant or an investor quadrant, you could be small in scale, but still get a lot of the same benefits. So understanding how the money flows around here will make a big difference. And if you remember, there was a presidential debate where, uh, let's see, it was Trump debating Hillary Clinton in one of the general election debates, and she was talking about how, I think it was, he had applied for some sort of casino license, and those had kind of leaked out, or at that time maybe it was I think he had to disclose some tax stuff back then, and it showed that he paid next to no tax or zero tax, and he interrupted, he leaned to the microphone, he said, "That makes me smart." Well, people say he's taking advantage of things, but think about that. Like Tom says, the tax law is a roadmap to wealth. So saying you're taking advantage of the tax law is quite literally like saying you're taking advantage of the speed limit. You're just following it. And that's what Trump was doing. See, he was making his money up here in the B quadrant, making hundreds of millions of dollars on The Apprentice. And then he was shifting that money down to the I quadrant and investing in developments that were rewarded because they stimulated economic growth. So that's what he did, is he moved the money, essentially made it up here, then he shifted it down and ended up having depreciation losses and so forth. And that's why he said that. He said that makes me smart. Well, why does he say that? Well, he sees the world through 0 to 20% taxes because that's where he's lived his whole life. That's what he knows. She sees the world. What did she do? I mean, she had a whole career in politics, but what did she do before that? She was a lawyer. So you got a high paid professional that all she's ever known is if you make a lot of money, you got to pay a lot of tax. So she's looking at the world through the S quadrant lens, not realizing how to behave on the right side. She didn't know how to have what was on the right side. She only knew how to be over here and have the results that produce. So that's really where it's a great clip to go back and watch. You can find it on YouTube, and you'll really see that when you read this book, that he's just looking at it through a different lens than she is. So highly recommend you read Cash Flow Quadrant. Um, Read it, listen to it. I've ingested this a number of times. I think about it often, and you can be an employee and still invest in the I quadrant and have some great tax benefits. And especially if you start setting up some companies that kind of help, some entities that kind of help with your investments, it's a great way to kind of have various entities play off one another. So again, you can be on the left, have what's on the right. Highly, highly recommend you read Cash Flow Quadrant. It's a great book to get some perspective on what you can do. So what can you do today? If you're not in the community, send an email to community@code3assets.com. So you make sure you're getting this information, you're getting our newsletters, you're getting our invites to meetups, all that. It's all about sharing information, building a community, building a tribe, if you will. Because when you start surrounding yourself with people going in a common direction, great things start to happen. And that's what we're doing, is we're building a community where people are moving in the same direction, collaborating on ideas, sharing opportunities, and so forth. So hopefully you do that, and we'll see you on the next video. We'll have some more book reviews coming, things you can take immediate action on. Till next time, teams up.